Hey, hey, welcome back to the Experience Share. My name is Blake, and today I have two special guests with me that are going to help me break down the artifact cards from Arthurian Legends. We have Bruce from Golden Eagle Cards and CJ from Old Fashioned Nerds. Bruce, can you introduce yourself?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
All right, and CJ.
Hey, how's it going, guys? CJ here. Ready to have some fun?
Talking about some cards, talking about some
I like it.
artifacts.
It's funny coming from beta where we had probably some of the some incredibly strong artifacts. We had the cores, we had the Philosopher's Stone. I don't know. These don't quite live up to the same hype, but there might be a card or two in here that stand out above the rest we can talk about. So,
Oh,
starting off here first, we have 13 Treasures of Britain. CJ, I'll come to you. Have you been playing the artifact? I know you like to brew around with some weird picks.
I have a 13 Treasures of Britain deck. It's not super great, but it is really fun.
yeah.
And how many cards have you ever drawn? What's the most cards you've drawn for 4 mana?
In one turn, 13.
There you go. You got all the treasures all at once. Very nice.
Yeah, so I think that if you're going to run 13 Treasures of Britain, you want to be in a Kythera Mechanism deck, which means you're basically already in air. And so I figured if you're in a Kythera Mechanism deck, that means you get to each turn draw one card for every minion you have, so you may as well be in tokens. So it's like a Earth Air token deck with things like guards and border militia. And because I'm running Kythera Mechanism, I also made it a reanimate deck. So yeah, you just pitch your big Lord of the Voids into the graveyard and then use Raise Dead with Kythera Mechanism, and then you use 13 treasures to draw 13 cards.
All right, I'm hoping there's a deck tech coming out here pretty soon or some gameplay video with you
It's not
drawing.
super good, but it is very fun.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And do you have a tier that you put this in?
Well, I don't know. I guess it's probably more like C tier than anything because it's a fun build around, but it's not like I think B is just a solid role playing card, right? Um, and I don't think that this is a solid role playing card. I think that the chance to offer your opponent cards is bad. I think that the consistency of this isn't great, but it is really fun. So I put it in C.
Very nice. Bruce, any thoughts?
Uh, I like I like CJ's. I was going to say something similar. It's like it goes in minion decks, but you have to have a way to like consistently do the thing, and Consider Mechanism is a great pairing with it. And to your point earlier about like beta having a lot of good artifacts, I think it's just a side effect of having a smaller set. And but like the power level of some of these artifacts is right up there with the beta stones and cores.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm glad there's not more stones or cores in the deck. That'd be a little bit too insane. I think it's a good power level. It's just you're not going to see the same level of S tier artifacts. I think by the end of this. Um, I think I like C tier. I think to your point, CJ. I think like it's casual, it's fine, it's a fun card, it's a combo card. I don't think you're going to see this at the top eight of any sort of sorcery con anytime soon, though.
No, no, absolutely not.
All right, so a card with Archie on the rise. The amulet's been popping up a little bit as a potential card to try to counter. I don't put it up there on S. I don't know. It's one that I've been thinking about putting in, but it seems so situational. Bruce, any thoughts towards the amulet?
I think this is just below S tier, like where every deck plays it. I think it gets better with Archie getting better, or Archimago, if people are unaware. Archie has a lot of nicknames, Mr. Magoo. I don't know if there's a lot more people have been calling him, but I think this is a good meta call if you were playing a lot of Archie or Archimagos in opponents.
Yeah, I'd be curious, CJ. Would you be playing the Highland Princess, or do you have to play Highland Princess to play Amulet, or what are your thoughts there?
So I think that they're I think that this is a pretty good card that gets really good if you build around it. I do have one deck that is built around something like this, and it's one of the strongest cards in my deck. But it's a pretty big build around. I think if you just throw it into your list, it's most likely going to get disenchanted. Archimago has, if they're running one disenchant, they've got access to two. If they're running two disenchants, Lord help you, they have access to four. So the odds of it being because disenchant targets the site, not the bearer, so it's pretty easy to get rid of. Um, but you know, I think without a build around, it's still pretty decent, right? You're forcing them to disenchant your amulet and not your ring. That's pretty good. With a build around, I think it's very powerful because most ways that the game ends is with magic spells. It's
Yeah.
pretty hard to die to a minion on death's door, right? You have ways to avoid that. I had a game recently where I was on death's door for like 3 or 4 turns and was able to win the game because they had a lightning bolt in hand and I had an amulet on.
Very nice. Yeah, it's one I actually haven't put in any of my decks yet. It's been on there. It's been the 51st card a couple of times. If it was me, I probably would have put it in B, but now I think both of you guys, I think with the how Archie's playing out, I don't mind it being an A.
Yeah.
Now, Control won the last season, and another Control card that I keep hearing people talk about is Bailey. This is one that in sealed I rated incredibly low because it doesn't gain you necessarily a card. I wouldn't trade Bailey for a card in sealed or limited. But in constructed, it's kind of a different story. I don't know. It's not one that I've been playing. It's not one that I think I would prioritize. But there's a lot of wall effects right now. Air just got a new site that prevents the units from being able to enter in the ground. We had several other sites from beta as well. I like B tier for it. Bruce, what are your thoughts here?
So I played against a Kyle creation, the Fury Road creator, Witch Control Turtle is what he calls it. It can operate on 2 or 3 mana, and then play Baileys and Scarecrows and Pillars Bridge and Gnome Hollows, and I could not, for the life of me, attack into him. So I kind of where CJ was saying B tier is like a role playing card in that style of like I'm playing 4 sites and that's it, and never doing anything else. So you can never attack me with minions. It's a pretty good role player in my mind. It's very niche, but you cannot enter the site on the ground is very strong.
I am curious about that. And my reason for that is you can't enter the site on the ground, but a lot of the threats right now enter your site just automatically, like a Saracen Raiders, and that gets around Bailey. Does he have ways to, like? I guess if you're running nothing but bottomless pits and free cities, and then Baileys, then probably yeah, you can't survive. But I am just curious, like summoning sphere, flying creatures from Avatar of Air,
I
just
should
puffing creatures in general with Avatar of Air. Like, how does he get around all that? Just because I haven't seen this list.
I should say I was also playing a very fair Geomancer minion based list and just big butts, and against my specific list, it was very good. Like a disenchant would work and other things like that, but it was just like this whole deck was designed of you can't attack me with your minions, and it did a very good job of that.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
I think it's probably like up there with 13 Treasures. It's a good role player, but it's very niche and it can be countered, and it's just yeah. It was a very interesting list.
That's cool. Yeah, I think I'd rather have a root spider, but I think
Yes.
it definitely has a role to play.
Yeah, like a Root Spider effectively does the same thing, right? It just shuts down that site, but better.
I like it. It's a good call there. I think that's probably a good place to end it with Bailey out. I like it on the C tier here. And I think we might have our first D tier item here. Cold Iron Rod. Fairies are disabled. There are 9 fairies in this set. Other than CJ that I'm sure is brewed with some sort of fairy deck. Has anybody played a fairy deck though?
Not really. The courts are really cool, but they're 6 mana, so it's like a little harder to get to them.
I wanted to, but I haven't. I have made. I think my tally was up to like 134 decks when I last looked. But yeah, fairies isn't one of them.
Yeah, I think maybe
There's definitely more than 9. There's 9 that have fairies in the title. You put fairy in there, there's definitely more like 15 or so.
I think this is a good card to keep in mind 3 or 4 sets from now when there's a fairy deck that pops off, right?
Absolutely.
I love the art though. I don't know why, but like the full art like back of this on a foil card is like one of my favorite arts.
This
There
guy's
you go.
bragging about his foils.
It's an exceptional fairy rod. Calm down.
It's great.
Ooh, the best card in the set.
what I was hoping was going to be exceptional, and I think what a lot of people thought was going to be exceptional, but it turned out to be just a rock at the end of the day. Uh, Just a rock came out with so much hype and enthusiasm. It's going to end the game of sorcery. Your philosopher's stones are going to zero. What's the point of playing a core? I actually have never had just a rock cast against me at all.
I would say
Against me once, and I was surprised and appalled.
I would say I've put it in as my second disenchant when I'm playing Common Sense, just because it functionally does the same thing, but sometimes that exile does really matter. I'm leaving it in S tier, by the way.
I think it's probably C tier for now. Now, here's what I'll say is right now, because there are so many strong artifacts, people are playing rings, for example, which we might hit on later, and that dispel, disenchant hit everything on a site. That's what makes Just a Rock just not as playable right now. Because for the most part, people are playing common sense to go fetch their disenchants, their dispels. Just a Rock, while yes, still being able to be common sense, can only hit one thing at a time. And so I think Just a Rock just kind of falls down for now. But who knows? Maybe I don't think of the. You said the exile part, Bruce. Is there anything particular you could think of that could bring something back from the?
No, no, no.
All right, not yet then. We'll
Damn
save
it.
CJ's secret tech for another video.
No, no, we could talk about it. I think that it does matter to exile because of Scavenging Fiend.
And and other than Scavenging Fiend, there's no way to get things back from the graveyard with artifacts, but it's just or Lady of the Lake. Like, there's some other shenanigans. It's just like a nice like. All right, if I disenchant this, I never want to see it again. And if I see it again, I'm going to be really upset. But it's just nice to get rid of it completely. The exile effect is not nothing, but
Yeah.
I will say, if I will say that I think it is C tier specifically because there's like two players out there running Scavenging Fiend right now. So like if you are teching Just a Rock over Disenchant for like
yeah.
the off chance that you'll play against those two players, um, yeah, it's probably going to be worse for you. But if those decks pop off and become more popular, then it's pretty powerful.
And something that I thought was going to be powerful going into this set, but really, once we saw the card, Excalibur, a bit of a letdown here. Bearer has +1 power for each of their elements. If they have all 4 elements, they are immune to damage. Maybe a powerhouse unlimited, but even then, I don't know. This is a card that kind of disappointed me whenever I saw it. What are y'all's thoughts?
I didn't even put it in the nice deck. I forgot about it.
Kill your minion and then they steal your sword and poor Excalibur.
Thanks.
I was gonna say it. The problem is equipment on creatures is too easy to steal.
And also, it's a
Very well on avatars.
and if you put it on a creature and it gets buried, you just got 2 for 1, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So D tier or C tier?
Oh, D for sure.
Yeah.
I'd say a D. It's a pretty big investment for nothing.
Yeah.
Now here's a card that I was excited for Avatar of Earth, to give Avatar of Earth range, be able to start striking people down, but Avatar of Earth hasn't found an adjustment yet to this new Arthurian Legends set. I think there's hope for the bow. I'm gonna put it in C is where I would start it, but I'm curious to where y'all would end up putting this one to end. 4 mana is a lot.
I just want to say that Avatar of Earth has one of the highest win percentages in the league right now.
Yes, somebody played 1 game and they won their first game with it.
There it is. No, no, I think it's like there's 10 games, but there really are only like 2 players. But it is doing quite well. It holds up pretty decently because of something that you said earlier, Blake, where you feel like you have to play Earth in this meta. So similar to the Roots meta, if you have to play Earth because of, well, common sense or something, Avatar of Earth gets stronger.
Yeah,
I do find this interesting.
I haven't had much success with Avatar of Earth in testing. It's just the 50-30 mix things. I haven't found a good consistent 50 card list, so it's just it's in a weird spot right now for sure. It's still very strong.
I still don't know how to feel about the bow, but I think it's sweet.
I mean, it's 4 mana kill something, right? Essentially, that's what you're like. But you have to have a minion to do it. That's why it's good in Avatar of Earth, because you always have a minion.
Same with Battle Mage, and you don't have to get on their sites.
Yeah, That makes sense. Maybe we see
And that
it
would
pop
still
off,
work for
but
attacking and killing, right? So you'd untap and or you'd draw a card and Screaming Skull would still untap you, right?
hmm
So I
Yeah.
think that a Battle Mage with like Blinks and stuff and Screaming Skull could work. But I haven't tested it. I can't tell you this is a good card.
what about another?
Here's a good place for us to leave it for now. And next we have the four berry knots here. Minion takes no damage from units with 4 power or more, and it's a fairy. I haven't seen this one at all. There's so many low to the ground minions. Whatever you play this on, it's probably gonna get violent.
Yeah,
What are y'all's thoughts here? Is this just a D tier move on?
Absolutely.
yep. Uh,
Perfect.
I would love to see it played more, but yeah.
The alleged Philosopher's Stone of the set. So much hype behind it at the very beginning, sitting at $60 while the ring was down at 20. Four Waters of Paradise, the more expensive mix. I'm sorry, this is like a C tier card for me. And I'll let y'all talk me up from here. I'm sure it's not actually that bad, but
Oh, wow.
I have to be playing one of each mix before I play a Four Waters in my deck. Where am I wrong?
Bruce?
I'd agree. It's slightly worse than a normal mix. Um, I think this paired with the 7 mana enchantments that like destroy foresights. I know those are both like two unique cards that just but blow you out. I think it's a B tier. I think it's a fine mix. The fact you can't tutor for it off of Princess is kind of hurts, but you're never really tutoring for a mix. So if you just draw into this mid to late game, the 2 mana is double of mix, but you get an extra mana discount. I don't think it's as consistent as mixes, but maybe if you're playing like you just need one mix, this could be fine.
I would say it's also a B tier. I think that there are a lot of the reasons we think that this card sucks is because of the hype over it. I think if it wasn't hyped up at all, we'd all say this is a pretty decent card. It does cost more than a mix, but playing more colors is actually a little bit easier than it used to be, at least in the sites. Obviously, land destruction is going to make that a little bit harder, but I mean, just on paper, playing more colors is easier, right? We have tri-lands now. We've got a lot of duels. We've got the Valley of Delight. And so I think if you're playing, for example, I played against an Elementalist Knight deck the other day, which is playing Knights of all different colors. And I think if they were able to, like, 4 Waters on turn 2 and get out, like, I don't know, a King Arthur, yes, a mix would have worked there. But, like, if they had a mix Aqua and they 4 Waters into a Lancelot instead on turn 3, I'd be in a lot of trouble. So I think it's a role player, but I think you need to pair it with card draw. Because if you're drawing this late game and you have no gas in hand, it's so bad.
Same thing with mixes, right?
Draws enough cards, it's decent. Yeah, yeah. So like Death Speaker would be great, right? You could use this as a way to get out your Death Dealer or your Grandmaster Wizard or something. But and you have ways to draw cards. But if you're in like a draw one card per turn deck, I think it's pretty bad.
Uh-oh. You can get Scavenging Fiend to get it back. Crack it again.
Hey, not don't give out all the tech.
Very nice. I think it's fine. You're probably right with the overhype thing. It's probably better than 13 Treasures and some of these other ones. I think it's fine. But the Golden Harp, I know this is one that was talked about a little bit at the very beginning because of the fact that you could play it with kind of the combo deck with Candle Monks. And I don't know if it's people who just don't want to play Candle Monks. I actually haven't played against it at all in the AL meta. Uh, I'd probably put it in C for now, but I'm curious where y'all are.
This is the harp that reduces all damage to 2, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, 3 mana, you can only take 2 damage from any source. I haven't seen it a whole lot. It's an interesting effect. I think it's almost D tier because it's 3 mana asking your opponent to do something. You're not being proactive. I don't know. It can be disenchanted really easily. It's 3 mana, so would you rather just have a root spider underneath your site that prevents all damage?
Yeah, it's a 3 mana do nothing. I'm currently thinking, just as of 2 minutes ago, around a build around this. And it could work out okay, but it's too much of a build around for it to matter for something that's an elite.
Yeah, it's an elite. That's a big hit too. You got to play 2 of these to maybe see it. That's just yeah.
All right. And we got the helmet next. Scout's Sweat helmet. If bearer would take strike damage, prevent it, return the helmet to hand. There was a shield kind of like this at 2 mana, right? That was return the minion. I don't know. It sounds maybe it'd be kind of cool in a battle mage deck, but I don't see this being played at all. I'd put it in a D tier. Maybe it'd be cool and limited if you had a big knight and you could protect it, but uh, probably not playing this in constructed.
I would agree.
Very good and limited, but bad here.
Yes, for the same reason Excalibur is down here in D tier. Equipment on minions is just so easy to get 2-for-1s, and you feel bad.
Well, it's the reason that Gilded Aegis sucks, right? If your minion gets buried and dies underground and then comes back to life and then dies anyway, eh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say next one here. Oh man, pronunciation is not my thing here. Grim. Oh gosh. Somebody help me out here.
I have no idea. I have gotten more comments about my pronunciation in AL than I ever did in Arthurian Legend or in beta.
Beta. All right, D tier. Move on. Bear takes and
Arm.
deal double strike damage. Let us know in the comments below how you say this. And deals. Yes.
Yeah, it's good with who's the Sir Agravain?
Sir Agravain's great because then you can like strike for free, but very narrow. And it's
Yep.
What a great limited combo that could potentially be if you get that lucky.
I lost to that on turn 5, deal 20.
In limited or in constructed?
In limited. It was actually one of my friend's first games ever. And he put that on Sir Agravain and hit me with 2 1-mana birds. And he would hit me with a bird, Agravain would hit me for 6, hit me with a bird, Agravain would hit me for 6. And then he did something else, hit me for 6, and then yeah, that was it. No, yeah, he had Agravain hit me for 6. That's 18, and the birds dealt 2 damage, so that's 20.
Boom.
Yeah, it can set up some big explosive turns, but like in constructed overall, it's like the problem with their equipment.
Oh yeah, no, it was a really cool story, but it's not reliable.
Here's a card that I think got a little bit of hype at the very beginning, and I don't know if it's really done too much. It's been played in kind of the Druid Beast deck, but that I don't know if it ever really found a home. I'd probably start with it at C tier and hear what you have to say, but the horn here has nearby minions have charge. It's 4 mana though. That's a lot.
Yeah, 4 mana is a lot. I put this in my first flame color deck, and then was able to like play this on 4, then hit tower on 5, and play a Infernal Legion on 6 with charge. It felt really, really good. But yeah, it's also it affects your enemy minions too, so you're like giving your enemies some bonus if they can use it. Yeah, it's just a big mana investment. It can be really strong and really swingy, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think the decks that won it aren't actually that strong is the problem.
Oh.
So like my old Wild West deck, which I loved, it's not actually super good anymore. And I would love this card, and I think it would be pretty good in that deck. But that deck's just not very good, if that makes sense. So this is a kind of a 4-mana do nothing and get value on it for the rest of the game. But a lot of decks that are doing charge and haste and minion strategies are very low to the ground.
Yeah, this goes in bigger minion decks, but you've got to, yeah, like you said, the aggressive decks are already playing charge minions, so why would you play a 4-mana do nothing, essentially?
I do really like it in the Beast combo deck, actually, though, because it enables the win.
That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Home for it there. I will say it sounds fun though, just looking at it, to play like a great old one and just attack right away for 16. Like, come on.
Absolutely.
I think in casual
absolutely.
games, if you're just building decks, put Horn in, and it's gonna be really exciting and really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have fun with it. Iron Man Talents, limited card. I would just put it into the D tier unless y'all know something different. Can't be disabled, move by 4. So it can't be buried, but it's 4 mana for 3 power.
I was going to kind of say something similar. Every time CJ's played against me, it's like, well, this thing's just annoying to deal with. Like, you can't imp and kill it. Like, you can lightning bolt, which feels better, but it's a very sticky minion. How about that?
It's really hard to kill with traditional removal spells, and the damage-based removal spells are usually 3. So, again, I wouldn't put this in like a normal deck, but if you're building some sort of Battle Mage, Sly Fox, and you need another minion, this is a really good one to like arm up with equipment, get its health over 3, and then they require multiple spells to kill it, or he's actually just unkillable because you can't bury him, right? That's a movement by force. You can't chaos twister him. That's also movement by force. So all the basic removal spells just don't work on him.
If you have a heavy equipment deck with the axe, the helmet, and whatever else you want to throw on him, he's a great holder of those equipment because you can't. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's not a great deck. But if you want to build that deck, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I can steal it with our next card here, Love Potion. Bearer has sacrificed Love Potion, gain control of target enemy minion here until it leaves the realm.
For 6 mana.
Yeah, somebody at my local, yeah, 6 mana. Somebody at my local team has been playing a Avatar of Water kind of combo deck with Love Potion, which has been kind of fun because you get to teleport around, and then when you use your avatar to crack the Love Potion, well, then you get to keep the minion versus the removal. But there is not a ton of great ways to utilize Love Potion right now, just because it's so easy to remove minions. I think B tier is probably appropriate. I'd play this, I think, over Four Waters, and like I think it's going to see more play overall than Four Waters. But I'm curious what your all's thoughts are.
It's a very strong card. So the thing about this, like Infiltrate steals the minion, but it gets tapped. This just takes it. So you can like swing with it when you take it, which is really strong. If this is part of your game plan, I think it's really strong. 6 mana is a large investment, but
I have my Inspector Gadget deck, which is a Death Speaker, Scavenging Fiend, Replicate deck, and Love Potion's quite good in that. I think it's a build-around card. If you are just throwing into a deck, it's pretty mediocre. You probably just would rather have removal. But if you're building around artifacts and artifact synergies, it's very powerful to play 4 mana for a Scavenging Fiend, return your Love Potion, pick it up with your avatar, steal their thing, replicate it, that sort of thing. So if you're already building that deck, it's quite good. But I wouldn't just throw it in any list.
Yep. I think it's probably a good place for us to go ahead and transition over to a card that I hope will be good in the future, but Merlin's Staff here. So Bear has Spellcaster +1 power for each magic card they have cast this turn while holding Merlin's Staff. It's hard for me to see a home for where it's going to be able to go in, but I love the concept of there being some sort of combo type deck. Like imagine if you could give this to an Archimagio, give it the overpower to give it +2 power. You cast it back, and then you could just like OTK, knock them out with a Merlin Staff. I don't know. Seems kind of fun. I don't know if it's ever going to be able to see play. It's a unique 2 mana spell. Seems like a fun card, but not one that you're going to see even constructed.
So I guess my thought here is something gives this gives +1 power to something. Why not just play Trinket and get +1 power for cheaper? And then you need to play this, have it survive maybe a turn or two, and then play another spell or 2 spells, and then, or if you play this on the same turn, you play 1 extra spell, you get 1 extra power, but you've already invested like 4 mana into 1 extra power. I don't think it does enough. Like it makes things as a spellcaster, but I don't think it just doesn't do enough.
It's so close to being amazing because we already have kind of a Storm avatar, which is the Spark Mage, except for Spark Mage needs to tap to get his value, and so it's a total miss, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
Because if this increased the damage done by Spark Mage's tap ability, this would be like S tier for that deck specifically.
So I feel like this could have been 1 cost and still been like a C tier card. I don't know. Maybe there's something in the future that will make this a lot better.
Yeah.
But Pendragon Banner here. Nearby allies have +1 power while there are no enemies here. Oh man,
This is a Housearn Bannerman on a stick, right? It's really a stick.
There you go. I like it. But Bannerman's what? Is it 4 as well?
I thought it was.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
4.
And it has 2 of its own power. So it should be controller has +2 power. Everybody else gets +1. I mean, like a guard deck that could be kind of cool, but no, I
would still rather play Bannerman.
I'd probably say C.
It's pretty cheeky. Yeah, I wouldn't put it above C.
I'm gonna put it at the top of D tier.
I think that's fair.
Oh, hating on it. All right.
Well, I mean, I'd just rather play a minion, right? And then he can do other stuff. This is just 4 mana for an artifact that maybe doesn't do anything.
Yeah. But you know what could do something in Battle Mage that was actually scary? Somebody at my local scene was playing this in their Battle Mage. Oh gosh, yeah. Ron Ragum Medid? What is I don't even know what word this is.
It's the spear. I just call it the spear.
Not the Spear of Destiny, but the good luck pronouncing it spear. 4 mana, bear has first strike, tap, throw the spear as a piercing projectile, dealing 3 damage to one unit at each location along its path. But it gives your battle mage first strike.
Uh, it doesn't go away first, right?
That doesn't go away. Exactly. So you tap it, you kill their thing, and you draw a card. And the person I was playing this against, like I was playing a low to the ground aggro deck. They had ways to buff their battle mage, and as they were kept buffing it, it would basically kill everything with first strike damage. There was really nothing I could do there. So
That's pretty cool. With Screaming Skull, it'd be nasty.
yeah, exactly. And then you got to find a way to buff it, and then just like wipes everything out. Has first strike, so you're not taking any damage. Has to be a pretty big minion. So I think it's fine. I don't think it's gonna be like world class, but I think it's a fine card.
Yeah. I like it right there in the middle at B tier.
Perfect. And what about Sword and Shield, where Bear has +2 power? This is an exceptional weapon. It's like obviously S tier.
+2 power, man. It's crazy.
Yes,
Like
and
twice as good as Trinket.
twice as good for 3 times the cost, and you don't even get it back at the end of your turn. I think it's fine. Limited, it's fine. Maybe you can give this to a battle mage as well. Give it the spear. Now it's first strike +5. That seems scary until Archie disenchants you.
Like, it's a good Iron Man thing to put on Iron Man. Makes it a 5 mana or 5 power thing you can't deal with nicely. And I've seen it in. Oh, actually, in the semifinals of Sorcery Con, the Avatar of Air player had Sword and Shield in their deck to put it on their 2 and 3 powers to make them 4 and 5, and just trade a little bit better. But I think it's the same issue with all the other equipment. You get 2 for 1, and it sucks.
Yeah.
I would agree. It's cool, but it's like good in very, very, very specific decks.
Yeah. I'm interested in this next one because I seem to remember a certain CJ in the spoiler season being in love with the round table. It's like it draws cards and stuff. Where are you at nowadays, CJ?
It depends on what deck you're talking about. If you're talking about the Elementalist Knight deck, it's still S. If you're talking about anything else,
outta
it's
here.
like C. Oh my god, are you kidding me? It's so good in the Elementalist Knight deck, and that is it.
I think it's so bad.
It's so bad.
What?
So bad.
What? Guardian
God.
Project?
Let's go. All right.
I think okay. If you're in any deck that's not the Elementalist Knight deck, if you're not running like 20 plus Knights, yeah, it's not great.
I think,
But specifically in that deck, I think it's good.
we should also
You got to play the polar bears, the ruler of Thuls. There you go, and that's how you do it. You play elementalists, you play knights, you play polar bears. You go to their side. Not even a downside at this point.
I mean, you can wind blast it forward.
CJ, you want to, or Blake, you want to read out what the round table does?
All right,
Wins
that
you the
sounds
game.
good. It says win the game if you're CJ. No, I'm kidding. It says that
Yeah.
lose your first league match you play this deck in, this card in.
I mean,
The round table says must be cast to your back row. Whenever you summon King Arthur or a knight, sir or dame to the round table, draw a card. Costs 3 mana to do it.
It has to be on your back row. I'll repeat what I said in the spoiler season. It has to be on your back row. You're just losing so much pressure and tempo off your minions being so far back. Like you were saying, you can play things like to your back row and do like Magellan's Globe and other things, but yeah,
you don't
takes
play
work.
Warhorse?
It takes work.
No, I don't draw a card when I play a warhorse.
All right, but I know Bruce plays Warhorse.
I don't play Warhorse in my Knights deck.
Well, knights love their mounts.
Well, that's true.
They need a horse to ride into action because they are the back row because of round table.
I still think you can Wind Blast this. Or Whirlwind, right? The number one air card.
There you go.
It's
Are you moving it clockwise or counterclockwise?
That's a great question.
that's a pineapple pizza debate, isn't it?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments below.
There you go.
That can't sit there in B tier though. I'm pretty close to putting that next to the banner down there in D, but I mean, just for CJ, we can leave it in C, I guess.
Bottom C.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, the ring, the myth, the legend, the $20 card that came out at spoiler season, and all right, I'm gonna go on a little rant here for a second. I'm sorry, guys, but one thing that I'll say, I've been wanting to make a video on this, but I'll just say it here in this video, is like we are a small community. And when people go out and they buy 20, 30 copies, okay, it's probably like people buying 10 or so copies of this card, driving up the price for everybody else. It makes it really hard for new players to want to get into the game. And so if it's a card that everybody needs, if you want to stockpile the foil version, I think go for it. If you're looking to make an investment, go buy Bitcoin or something along those lines. Like you're gonna hurt the community, hurt the game by trying to buy out a small indie TCG best card in the set. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the buyout culture that took place. It just spiked this card from $20 to $70 over the weekend. But who knows? Maybe it wasn't a buyout. Maybe I'm wrong. Everybody just bought one copy for their playset and moved on. But I don't know if that was the case. It's an S tier card. All right, I'm done ranting.
I would say this is not a $20 card. This should never have been $20. It should have been like maybe 40. It should have been one of the most expensive non-foil cards in the set, but I totally agree. At over 100, it just gets wild and don't get it. But
I'm just down for all non-foils to be under $20 because that's pretty great and accessible for people to join. And foils can be however much.
Yeah. And I will say, part of my saltiness is I pulled 0 rings out of 15 boxes. So,
ouch.
Ooh. I've also pulled 0 rings, but less boxes. I did buy mine for $20 though.
I got in early. No,
here's my mistake. I was like, you know what? I'll wait and I'll get in with our local scene. I'm sure if I open like a case at the time I opened a case, I didn't pull one. I'm like, I'm sure there'll be several. We'll trade cards around. Everybody will complete their sets. We'll be good. And then after release weekend, nope, not a $20 card. Should have bought it at 20.
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
It's all right.
My buddy who doesn't even play the game opened up a box for fun at SorceryCon and pulled a ring. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Got him. Hey, that's what's gonna get him to play though.
Honestly, yeah, he decided to keep the box and join the local scene because he had so much fun at SorceryCon.
Heck yeah. One by one.
All right, we've had 9 people at our local Tuesday night tournaments this week. And that was pretty sweet. And so hopefully game starts growing around. How's y'all's local scene been doing?
We have a pretty consistent 6 to 8 people at our Thursday night casual, no tournament. Just come up, play whatever jank you want.
Nice. A lot of people playing the round table with CJ, I guess.
I don't get to make it out very often. You're so rude. To my local scene, but I'm in Baltimore, so I've got the Sorcery Social Club, so it's always pretty good.
Great. So what are your thoughts on Ring? Is this like an overpowered bannable card, or is this just a really good card that people need to get used to playing against?
It's so broken. I wanted just to say minions instead of units. Then I think I'd feel better about it. The fact that you can play this in Avatar of Air and then any card you cast is a kill spell just makes it like, well, this is just frustrating.
I think that it is the most powerful card in the set, and I don't know, maybe the game. It's hard to tell. Honestly, Philosopher's Stone is very powerful in the right deck. This one's just too ubiquitous. I don't agree that it goes in every deck. Like Bruce has his Geomancer big stuff deck, where he's mostly casting 1 spell per turn, and he's not a mobile avatar. I wouldn't put it in there. You're not really using it. But I do agree it goes in almost every deck, and it's just generically powerful. Like even pinging your minions to gain 1 life every turn, it's like half an Angel's Egg for something that's 1 mana. It's pretty good.
And you just tutor it off a princess, and you can see it 3/4 of the time. It's very good.
Yeah. No, it's very good. It's really strong. I I don't know. Maybe if it was 2 mana, I don't even know. It's tough for me
I
to.
think it
Maybe if it
was.
was pick one, deal a damage, or gain a life.
I think if it was 2 mana, it would be a lot worse, just because it's double the mana and you can't tutor it. You wouldn't see it as often. It wouldn't be as consistent. But nope, it's at 1.
It's a reason to run air in all your decks because you can get Highland Princess for a second copy.
Yep.
For sure. It's good. I'm not to the point where I'm like ban it, but I am to the point where I feel like I need to play Earth so I can play Common Sense so I can play Dispel or
But
Disenchant.
I was gonna say, you feel like you have to play Earth so you can play Common Sense, but is this better than Common Sense? Because Common Sense is everything, right? I mean, this is individually more powerful than drawing a Common Sense, but the utility of Common Sense to let you win games with like Blink or Bury or Disenchant, I don't know. I think it is one of the most powerful cards in the game, up there with things like Common Sense and Philosopher's Stone. I think the problem with this one is just that it's so ubiquitous. But I don't know if it's bannable because I think we have similar power level cards, like Grapple Shot, right? Grapple Shot's insane. It lets you deal way more damage than any other deck without Grapple Shot. Um, but is it bannable? Like, no, I don't think so.
I don't think it's bannable. But like when Death Speaker was king, and you saw turn 1 Philosopher's Stone, you were like, oh geez, this is going to be one of those games. This is just that for more decks.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
it's a feels bad. Like I was playing against somebody. I was playing an aggro deck, and they had a turn one ring, and they ended up gaining over 20 life with just ring. They gained 35 life over the course of the game, and it was just kind of demoralizing. Playing my minions out, and they're just casting spells, doing their normal thing, killing my minions, gaining life, and it wasn't fun in comparison to Philosopher's Stone. Is like you get to do cool things, where Ring says your opponent cannot do their cool thing.
Well, I
So,
guess speaking on the life gain thing, how do you feel about Archimago getting access to 6 Divine Healings?
oh yeah, no, that's obviously ridiculous. Uh, if Divine Healing was a unique, I think that would have been totally fine.
Well, there's the artifacts. It looks pretty bottom heavy, right? Like there's a lot of like kind of just junky equipment, but then there's the ring at the very tippy top.
Absolutely, you gotta love the jewelry. You know, sorcery loves its jewelry. You got the ring, you got the amulet, you got your quartz, your stones. But that brings us to a close here for the artifact tier list video. Thank you all so much for watching. Take a peek at Golden Eagle Cards, which was Bruce and CJ with Old Fashioned Nerds. Anything y'all want to say to close this out?
No, I enjoy talking sorcery. Cards and card evaluation is a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good night. Bye.
Cheers.